grandstanding and grappling over groceries. MPs debate the high cost of food. This is Now You Know. I'm Rob Snow.
Navigating the issues that matter to you. It's Now You Know with Rob Snow on News Radio.
It is the midweek point in Canadian politics, and the debate so far is being dominated by one issue: prices at the grocery store. That's just what the Conservatives want, as one by one and all week long, Conservative MPs have been standing up in the House of Commons demanding action from the Liberals on the high cost of food. Richard Bragdon is a Conservative MP from New Brunswick, and he was fired up, slamming the Liberals for raising the price of fuel on Canadian farmers.
I'm just warming up. Let's talk about food and the cost of food. Let's talk about farms and the input cost and the soaring input costs that they're facing. And oh yes, we must talk about fuel, because fuel is what drives and gets our food to market and on the grocery shelves. And when the price of fuel goes up, the price of food goes up. So you got to address fuel. And then once you get beyond fuel, you better check the foundation so that you can build a future of prosperity and affordability for every Canadian. Mr. Speaker, it's time to check the foundation and get this country back on the right foundation and stop building on sand and start building on a firm foundation.
Amen. Testify. Well, not as animated. The message was the same from Conservative MP Marilyn Gladu, that higher fuel costs mean higher food costs.
The disastrous policies of this Liberal government have driven the cost of food up over $6,000 in the last 5 years. They removed the consumer carbon tax, yes, but then introduced the industrial carbon tax, which is then being charged back to consumers, and added on the fuel standard tax, which is then increasing the price of gas, which again is increasing the price of food. So why does this government not recognize the damage that they are doing to the price of groceries and affordability in this country?
Tamara Jansen is a Conservative MP from Cloverdale, British Columbia, who encouraged the Liberals to think about the humble potato.
Let's take the example of something as ordinary as a single pound of potatoes from the Heppel family farm. That potato starts in the ground. To plant it, the farmer needs diesel to run his equipment. That diesel now carries a fuel standards tax. Before the potato has even grown, policy has already added cost. Then comes fertilizer. Fertilizer production is energy intensive, which means it carries the industrial carbon tax. That cost doesn't stay at the factory. It's built into the price that farmers pay. Again, no choice. You can't grow potatoes without fertilizer. Harvest time comes, the equipment runs again. More fuel, more tax. The potatoes dug up, washed, sorted, and stored. Storage requires electricity. Processing facilities face higher energy costs, compliance costs, and reporting requirements, all of which are government imposed and all of which are passed along.
But nonsense, according to the Liberals. Kevin Lamoureux is a longtime Liberal MP from the Winnipeg area. He says all those costs cited by the Conservatives are imaginary.
You know, the Conservatives come up with this imaginary food tax. If you were to carry the logic through, follow the logic on this one, Mr. Speaker, that means that the income of a farmer, or the income of a truck driver, or an income of the store clerk, take away their taxes that they pay, because that also adds to food costs, no doubt, right? At the end of the day, Mr. Speaker, it's all imaginary with the Conservatives. They have clearly demonstrated that their ideas just do not work. They're not feasible. Why should any Canadian give any credibility to the types of silly motions that we have before us today in the House of Commons?
A debate spilled over into question period, where the two main party leaders went head-to-head on food costs. This is the leader of the opposition, Pierre Poilievre.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians deserve to have a full stomach, a full fridge, and a full bank account all at once. But the Prime Minister has said that he could be judged by the price at the grocery store. Since that time, food inflation has doubled, and grocery prices are rising faster in Canada than any other country in the G7. My theory is that his taxes, his carbon taxes on farm equipment, fertilizer, food processors, his new tax on diesel and gas is the cause. That's my theory. What's his?
The Prime Minister's theory is that Pierre Poilievre's theory is wrong. This is Mark Carney.
Mr. Speaker, the impact of the industrial carbon tax on food prices is, as estimated by the Canadian Climate Institute, approximately zero. The impact of the fuel charge, which exempts diesel, which exempts gasoline, which exempts fertilizer, which exempts food processors, is de minimis. What it does do, the fuel charge, though, is support the people of the farmers of Battle River, Crowfoot, supports canola production, it supports biofuels, it supports our future.
Hear, hear.
According to a new poll out today from Nanos Research, the cost of living is far and away the number one issue for Canadians right now, followed by jobs in the economy, and then trade relations with the United States. A report from the Bank of Canada this week blamed the high cost of food on a lower Canadian dollar, higher international shipping costs, and the impacts of climate change. I'm Rob Snow. This is Now You Know. This is News Radio.
There is no question Rob won't get answered.
Now You Know with Rob Snow continues
On News Radio.
The last reading for food inflation in this country was 6.2%. 6.2%. The Conservatives claim to have a plan to get that under control. The Liberals say the Conservative plan makes no sense and it's all about imaginary taxes. John Barlow, a Conservative MP, represents the riding of Foothills, Alberta. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it.
I want to start with carbon taxes. Your party claims this is a big culprit in high food prices. The Prime Minister axed the tax, the consumer carbon tax. And now Mark Carney, he said it just yesterday, the industrial carbon tax has no impact on food inflation. Zero, he said. He said high food inflation is the result of a lower Canadian dollar and tariffs. Why do you think the industrial carbon tax has such an impact on food prices?
Well, Rob, thanks very much for that question. And I think if you talk to anyone at the grocery store, they're certainly seeing the impact of the food inflation in Canada. And this is not a result of tariffs. Tariffs aren't on food. That is a misdirection by the Liberal government. But when you impose a tax on literally every link in the supply chain, whether that's the truckers moving products or farmers growing those products, processors manufacturing those products, and certainly on retailers selling those products, absolutely you're going to have an increase in cost that is being absorbed by the consumer. And I think where the Liberals went wrong with their consumer carbon tax is they made the mistake of having it on bills and receipts so people can see exactly what they were paying. The beauty they see in the industrial carbon tax is that it is hidden. People don't see the impact that the industrial carbon tax is having on their consumables, or the price they're paying. And for them to say that this is an imaginary tax, I don't know of an imaginary tax that's actually listed in their budget that will be going up every year in the foreseeable future.
Okay, what the Liberals will say to that, Mr. Barlow, is that the industrial carbon tax is about trying to reduce emissions from big industrial emitters. The oil sands, steel plants, mining operations, cement factories, these sorts of things, and they don't hit the farm. What do you say to that?
Well, it's just simply not the case. Farmers are paying it when they buy farm machinery, when they buy fertilizer, when they buy products for growing and harvesting food. So they do feel it. They are impacted by it. And they said the same thing about the consumer carbon tax. This is a way for them to reduce emissions. But we know now from Statistics Canada that it didn't reduce emissions at all. It didn't work. So I think it's just another misdirection. This is a revenue generator for the government. This is not about reducing emissions. And it's certainly Canadians are the ones paying the price at the grocery store shelves right now.
Let's talk about the clean fuel standard. The Liberals insist that's not hitting the farm or the food supply chain either because the fuels that would be impacted, diesel, gasoline, are exempt. First of all, is that true or not? What do you think of that claim?
It's not true. Unlike the consumer carbon tax, when there was an exemption on farm fuels, on gas and diesel, but not natural gas and propane, which we tried to expand vehemently in the last two parliaments, but were continuously turned down. On the fuel standard, it does not have an exemption for on-farm fuels. So we now know that in the budget, it'll increase costs on gas and diesel by 7 cents a liter, and over the next 4 years, that will increase to 17 cents a liter. So absolutely, there will be an impact on the cost of producing food, transporting food, and certainly purchasing food.
Let's talk about another policy, the packaging of food. How could that be responsible, in your opinion, for higher food prices? Packaging regulations.
There's three now, different food packaging policies that the Liberals are pushing through. One is the front of pack labeling, which we have now seen. Those are those little warning labels on every product you purchase that if it's high in saturated fat or sodium, that you now have this warning label, even though it's on the nutrition label on the back. We know from industry that is adding up to $8 billion in additional costs. That is, if the manufacturer is not absorbing those costs, they will be passing them on to the retailer, who will then be passing them on to the consumer. The Liberals are now moving ahead with a P2 plastics ban, which is a food packaging on fruits and vegetables. That is another potentially $4 billion in costs, as well as increasing food waste by more than 50%, but increasing the costs of fresh fruit and vegetables by more than 35%. And those are statistics and data from a Deloitte & Touche study that was done. So it's not just from the industry. They had an independent review done of the impact of this policy. And now they're adding new bulk labeling rules to fertilizer, which could cost in the tens of millions of dollars. We don't have the data on that yet, but have been told there will be additional costs with that. So you're piling all of these things on. An industrial carbon tax, a fuel standards tax, packaging costs on manufacturers and processors. Of course, this is going to have an impact on the cost of food at the grocery store. That's why we're seeing Canada have the highest food inflation in the G7, twice that of the United States, and why the Liberals will say, well, this is a global problem. Well, this is a homemade problem that needs a homemade solution, and this is a problem as a result of all of these policies and taxes being piled on.
Well, if you'll just stick around for another minute or so, the Liberals say they have one solution to this. That's the groceries and essentials benefit. Your government is going to help the Liberals pass that. I want to know why. It's going to cost $12 billion. We'll be right back. This is News Radio.
You have questions.
Now You Know with Rob Snow has the answers.
On News Radio.
We're talking about food inflation, food prices. John Barlow, Conservative MP, has been leading the charge for the official opposition in the House on that one. He's from the riding of Foothills in Alberta. The Liberals have rebranded the GST rebate. They are now calling it the Groceries and Essentials benefit. It will cost $12 billion. It's going to increase the GST rebate by 25% a year for the next, I believe it's 4 years. And the government is touting that a family of four will receive $1,890 this year because there's going to be a special one-time payment in June, and an extra $1,400 a year over the next 4 years. Your party will help the Liberals pass this. Why?
Well, we don't usually oppose people getting some of their tax dollars back, and this is money that they've paid into the tax regime, and we're certainly hopeful that this is a temporary measure, and that's why we're encouraging the Liberals to support a real food affordability measures and a Food Affordability Act, which would be eliminating their industrial carbon tax, the fuel standards tax, and some of these packaging taxes and regulatory regimes that we talked about. Those would be real measures to bring real long-term relief to Canadians.
Okay, there's a few other measures that were announced the same day that the GST rebate rebrand was announced. The government has what it calls a strategic response fund, and that is for companies who have been impacted because of tariffs and whatnot, or suffering from supply chain disruptions. They're saying they're going to put that to help food-related businesses a lot of money, $500 million. It also has regional tariff response initiatives, and it's going to create a $150 million, what it calls a food security fund. So big money, $650 million. What do you think of those measures, Mr. Barlow?
Well, I think, again, this is the typical Liberal response to Liberal-caused problems is you just throw more taxpayer dollars at the problem, hoping it goes away. But we have to remember, this is the Prime Minister who went into the election last spring saying, I'm the man with a plan. I am going to get a deal with the United States on tariffs by July 21st. Have not seen any of those deals. And I think this package is an admission of their failure to actually follow through on the very lofty promises that the Prime Minister made to Canadians, but he hasn't been able to make any of those promises become actual reality. And then that's why we're seeing businesses struggling with tariffs from the United States, Canadians struggling with high food costs. What we are asking the Liberals to do is follow through on some of these proposals that we've put forward that will actually address these problems rather than just trying to cover them up with more taxpayer dollars.
Okay. Thank you for your time, John Barlow. Good to hear from you.
It is a pleasure anytime. Thank you very much. And I miss the beautiful weather in Alberta. So I hope.
If they could send some of that our way, we'd be sitting pretty. 16, going to be 15, 16 degrees in Calgary today. We're all a little jealous in this part of the country. Yeah. Thank you. Talk soon.
You're very welcome.
Bye-bye.
Great to chat with you. Bye-bye.
Yeah. From Foothills, Alberta, +5 there right now in Foothills. John Barlow, Conservative Member of Parliament. I'm Rob Snow. Newsday panel coming up next. Lots to talk about with our panelists today. This is News Radio.
No question goes unasked or unanswered.
Now You Know with Rob Snow returns on News Radio.
Time for our Wednesday Newsday political panel. Cam Holmstrom is with us, Principal Niipaawi Strategies. How are you?
I'm very good, Rob. Glad to be here.
Yeah, welcome back. Great to hear your voice. Along with Josie Sabatino from Summa Strategies. Josie, welcome back to you as well. Great to hear from you today.
Thanks for having me.
I want to start with a little bit of inside baseball. This is inside the bubble stuff, but I like it. I want to know what you think of it. I think the Liberals are playing head games. I think they're trolling the Conservatives these days. At every announcement, at every photo op, during question period, the Liberals are putting their floor crossers on full display. Chris Doncherma, Michael Maw, they are in every shot. I think it's deliberate. It's clearly deliberate. I also think it's stupid. Should the Liberals really be showing off these floor crossers if more than half the country thinks these people are nothing but a bunch of self-serving sellouts with no integrity? Josie, what do you think?
I mean, the reality of the situation is that floor crossers historically don't do well at the polls when they run under the actual banner of the party they cross the floor for. I mean, you can see this in the historical data. So I think that this is the Liberals playing the same crass political games that have defined the last decade. And I think with the Conservatives signaling that they want a new kind of era of cooperation between the Liberals, this looks very poorly on the part of the governing party to be doing this. And yes, it is inside baseball, but at the end of the day, these floor crossers are going to have to explain to their constituents when they run for re-election why they made this choice and why suddenly they needed to run under this different banner than the one that those people actually voted for. So I think the reality is they're going to have to answer for this in due course.
Like, Josie, why do you think they're doing it? Michael Maw, let's take Michael Maw, for example. Michael Maw goes from being on the opposition side of the House to he's at the back of the back benches. Very, nobody's ever heard of Michael Maw. Before he crossed the floor, I never heard of Michael Maw. Now I watch Question Period. Just yesterday, who's sitting right next to the Prime Minister? Right next to the Prime Minister, Michael Maw. I watch a news conference the other day with the Minister of Finance. Who's standing right next to the Minister of Finance? Oh, there's Michael Ma. Oh, who's on the other side? There's Chris Doncheron. Why do you think they're doing it?
I think, frankly, they want the power. That's the thing that comes with government that you don't get in opposition. And the reality is in those opposition benches, it takes a lot of work to pick yourself up every day and to do the hard work of opposing the government's agenda. So I think it's an easy play for them. And I really do hope that they are able to maximize some rewards for themselves other than standing front and center with Carney, because, again, they're going to have to take themselves back to the polls at some point and answer for why they made this decision.
Cam, what do you think? Should they really be showing off their floor crossers?
You know, Rob, well, first off, I'd love to see the data that says that more than half the Canadians are against. I haven't seen that data, but I'd love to see it. I would just point out, yesterday we had the raising of the portrait of Stephen Harper, a beautiful portrait, lovely done. You know what? I always think David Emerson at that point. The man literally ran an election, then before the cabinet's sworn in, he shows up there as elected as a Liberal, sitting beside Stephen Harper going into his cabinet. He sat pretty close to Stephen Harper too, and being a cabinet minister, they didn't hide him, right? So this is old games and that kind of thing. When it comes down to it, if you cross the floor, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. If you go sit in the back bench of the government side and you hide and you never heard from, people will be like, oh, you're hiding, you're second guessing what you've done, you're ashamed of what you've done. Oh, but if you're up front and you're sitting next to the PM or you're being involved, oh, you're being too showy, you're too out there. Come on, man. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. The fact of the matter is, where I will agree, yeah, these two are going to have to answer for their constituents when the day comes to go run again, if they do run again. That will be something they will have to do, and they're going to have to do for the next few years until the next election comes. But that's their life now. So to me, it's like, do what? Do you hide in the back row and pretend you're not there? Or
why are they putting them on display? A floor crosser sitting right next to the prime, and a guy goes from the back benches of the opposition side of the House to he's sitting right next to the Prime Minister in question period. What is going on there? What are the Liberals trying to do there? What message are they sending?
Well, Michael Ma, you might be able to say that about. Chris Doncheron was the Deputy Speaker of the House. And if I'm not mistaken, he was a provincial cabinet minister. The man's earned a spot chance to be have a little bit more shine to him. Michael Ma, okay, first-term MP, but you know what? We're going to be talking about a first-term MP trying to go negotiate on behalf of the country with no mandate. So, hey, maybe first-term MPs, their stake in the world has gone up. But the fact is that, look, again, you own it, right? You're saying, here I am. I'm a part of this team. I'm going to be there and I'm going to be visible. So, yeah, at the end of the day, if you're the government, what you're saying is, look, if you come to my side, I'm standing with you. I'm standing behind you. I'm not ashamed of you and tucking in the back benches and taking your vote for granted. Again, damned if you do, damned if you don't. So my old saying, if you're going to be on thin ice, you might as well dance. So that's what they're doing. Okay. They're doing a nice little jig.
All right. You wanted to know where I got this day more than half. 33% according to Nanos, 33% believe MPs planning to cross the floor should resign their seat and trigger by-election. And another 31% say they should sit as independents. So that's 64%.
I hadn't seen that. Okay. I hadn't heard that number, so I was curious. Thank you.
But it also, Josie, I wonder, if I'm a dyed-in-the-wool Liberal, ran for the Liberals, have sat as an MP maybe for, years, how am I feeling to see this, this guy who just crossed the floor, just joined us, didn't even run for our team, ran against our team in the last election. He gets the plum seat in question period, sitting right next to the Prime Minister. I wouldn't be too happy with that.
Well, the good news for those backbencher Liberal MPs is that Michael Ma and Chris Doncheron have still not managed to get into cabinet. They are not part of the critical discussions and planning out the agenda of the government. So I think that, they've made a big splash of them. And rightly, the Liberals are trying to put them in positions of power, at least for visual effect, because they really haven't provided them with any sort of title that would matter. And they've spent a lot of political capital trying to recruit these floor crossers. So I guess that's, at the end of the day, they're trying to get some juice out of the squeeze there. And I think we'll continue to see more of this.
All right.
And Rob, I'll just add, we just saw the news yesterday of the Ontario NDP's deputy leader going to run for the Liberals. To me, if you're trying to tell a story, it's like, look, we're a unity government. We're working for the country. That's what you're going to try to pitch. So there you go.
All right. That's a good point. All right. We'll be right back. Our new man in Washington, Jamil Javani, goes to Washington. The Liberals aren't interested. Be right back on that one. This is News Radio.
critical thinking is not dead.
Now you know with Rob Snow.
Returns on News Radio.
Cam Holmstrom's with Niipaawi Strategies. Josie Sabatino's with Summa Strategies. It's our Wednesday Newsday political panel. Being reported today, Conservative MP Jamil Javani's in Washington doing the rounds of various events, going to the National Prayer Breakfast. That's always a big one. He offered to try and help the Liberals with trade talks in the Trump administration, given his friendship with U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance. He asked to be involved, and he never heard back from anyone in the government. Cam, what do you think of the snub?
Well, first off, I would just point out I've been saying for the last year that Mr. Giovanni should get engaged on this because of his friendship with the American vice president. That just made sense. And I did see a statement out this morning from the government saying that the Minister LeBlanc did meet with Mr. Giovanni and all of that. All that to say, I'm a little hesitant in just the lack of coordination here. And again, I guess when that conversation isn't happening as well, maybe you don't have as much trust on the other side. I do wonder what Mr. Giovanni is going to do down there or say that couldn't be said, but you know what? He should be there. As Minister Jolie pointed out, you know, he's got GM in his riding. You know, I used to work in his riding. That's a huge GM area. So to see that impact him, you're standing up for your constituents. That's what you should be doing. So I guess to me, it's going to see what's going to happen. The one thing I will note on this, though, is that I'm not seeing anything coming from the Conservative Party centrally pushing this out. This is clearly this. I find that interesting because we're talking about cooperation, everyone getting along. I'm not even seeing the party side pushing this. So I'm kind of curious as to what this may look like. But you know what? I'm not going to cast any aspersions. I'm not going to assume anything here at this point because you know what? It is all hands on deck, and who knows? He might be able to get somewhere where the others haven't. But I have skepticism, but I'm willing to put that aside for the moment for the better of the country.
I'm curious to get Josie's take on that. That it's not like this is a conservative effort. Hey, here's Jamil. He wants to help. This is I'm Jamil and I want to help. Josie, what do you think of this?
Well, to be clear, in Pierre Poilievre's speech that he broadcasted at convention, he said, we are ready to cooperate on this and we will do what we can. And, you know, if one is to read between the lines there, you are looking at Jamil Javani's friendship with J.D. Vance, which has been publicized throughout this critical period of trade negotiations that we've been talking about since Trump's inauguration. So my problem with the government's narrative on this is if you want to talk about damned if you do, damned if you don't, it's the government who has not been able to fulfill their obligation to negotiate a standalone Canada-U.S. Trade deal. It is them who were not able to stop tariffs that have resulted in job losses. And now you have a member of the Conservative Party raising their hand saying that we can make these critical inroads for you. I look at this and I think, well, the government who has ran an election under the banner of Canada-U.S. relations should really be stepping up to accept the help where they can get it.
I also wonder, I mean, not that there have been many wins on that file, Josie, for the government yet when it comes to Canada-U.S. relations, whether it's, well, we don't want to, you know, if there's any kind of breakthrough, we don't want Jamil Giovanni to get any credit for it, even if he deserves the credit. Do you think there's any of that going on?
Well, I think what they're going to do is use Jamil Giovanni as a scapegoat for the fact that they haven't been able to get a deal to date and anything that goes wrong moving forward, which is completely unfair. What he is offering to do, again, is open up those inroads with the Vice President of the United States. The government is trying to turn this into a wedge tactic rather than standing up as a united country and really looking for any avenue we can to get a better deal for Canada.
Okay. Anything to add there, Cam?
I would just point out there's not going to be a need for a scapegoat here because I think the vast majority of Canadians know what the issue is here. It's not what we're trying to negotiate. It's the partner on the other side of the table. And again, like we've said it here many times, what's the value of Donald Trump's word? Ask the EU and the UK after everything just happened over Greenland a couple of weeks ago, where that deal just magically disappeared because Donald Trump because they were pushing back against the idea of Donald Trump invading and taking over a NATO ally. Like, the fact is the deal is not worth the paper it's signed on. So it doesn't matter who is on our side of the table at this point. There is a fundamental issue that we cannot control. So I think that's so at the end of the day, I don't see the government needing to turn and say, no, this is all Jamil's fault. You know, people realize what's going on here. If Mr. Giovanni is able to make any headway on this, all the power to him. But I don't think Mr. Giovanni is able to move the major issue at play, which is, frankly, The guy's sitting in 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. That's the issue, right. And there isn't a way around that at this point.
Okay, when we come back, Stephen Harper Week in Ottawa. This is News Radio.
Now you know with Rob Snow continues on News Radio.
Josie Sabatino is with Summa Strategies, Cam Holmstrom, Deep Away Strategies. It's been Stephen Harper Week in Ottawa this week. Conservatives are certainly remembering better days, but even some Liberals, Prime Minister Carney, Prime Minister Chrétien, have had nice things to say about Prime Minister Harper. What do you think, Josie, about this celebration of Mr. Harper's time as Prime Minister?
Well, obviously, from my opinion, it's really great to see. And it's something I think that Conservatives recognized all along, which is that history has been very kind to Mr. Harper and his legacy. And I think it's great that, Conservatives are gathering from around the country in Ottawa to celebrate his legacy with that portrait unveiling. But I also think that it really speaks to the tonality that former prime ministers of Liberal stripes are able to come together also and celebrate that legacy. It is a nice contrast when compared to what's happening in the United States right now, and something that I think all Canadians should celebrate.
Yeah, agreed. Meantime, Cam is still holding up his sign that says "Stop Harper."
Well, it's funny, Rob. I'm not going to lie. Mr. Harper has said some things lately that I found myself agreeing with, especially with dealing with the Americans. Okay. And I think that speaks to what Josie is saying about time and also distance from being directly involved in partisan politics. Like, honestly, what I took heart from watching was watching the panel that there was during the week, earlier in the week with Mr. Chrétien and Mr. Harper, right? Like, I remember the fights between those two. Those got nasty. Those got ugly as all heck. To watch them in their later years being statesmanlike in this moment, I think is exactly what the country needs to see. You can disagree on policy, but you don't have to be disagreeable. Heck, I worked in the NDP caucus, and I saw even how when Jack Layton and he could not be more diametrically opposed on so many things, yet they were still civil to each other. It was Jack who went to Mr. Harper on the residential schools apology, right? One of the things to help bring him around. Again, you don't need to be disagreeable to have legitimate disagreements. Sadly, in our politics now, we forget that too much. And I think in this moment with what we're facing, that was very good to see.
Okay. Very quickly on the NDP, which hasn't come up yet, the Avi Lewis campaign claims it has raised $1 million, like way ahead of all the other contenders. But does that mean he's a sure thing to win the NDP leadership race, Cam? What do you think?
No, it doesn't. Because at the end of the day, the only way Avi Lewis is going to win this thing is if he wins it on the first ballot. If he can't win on the first ballot, the rest will move to stop him, because that's just how toxic he is. I'm not surprised he could raise money, because when you're a dilettante who's not really had to work in your life and you're a second-generation political Nepo baby, guess what? You tend to know people who've gotten money. So I'm not necessarily concerned that he was able to do that. But can the man lead? Like, heck, you saw the comments coming from Naheed Nenshi just yesterday about the federal party. He wasn't talking about Rob Ashton and Heather McPherson. He was talking about Avi Lewis. And that's exactly what an Avi Lewis leadership would do to this party nationally. It would tear it apart, and it wouldn't exist anymore. Right. And you know what? Avi would be just happy with that, because Avi's all about Avi.
Wow. Okay. But that seems to be the prevailing.
I have some feelings on this.
No kidding. Wow. Don't hold back. I mean, Josie, you and I are not experts, but when it comes to NDP internal politics, but it would seem to me that this is the prevailing opinion. If he doesn't win on the first ballot, he's not going to win.
I mean, my only comment on this is every once in a while you see a headline and you're reminded that the NDP are actually in a leadership race. And I guess the fact that he has raised $1 million speaks to some sort of candidacy. Money talks in politics. And I think at a time of increasing irrelevance for the NDP, that number matters. But whether that actually translates into ballots, that's anyone's guess. But I do think, for what it is an impressive amount of money.
Rob, the one thing I'll add, what matters in an NDP race is organization, and that comes back to labor. And what I'm taking big note in is that the big unions that are huge behind the party that you should get out and get votes out, like the Steelworkers, UFCW, have all lined up behind Rob Ashton. So Ashton may not have the money, but he's got the bodies and the resources to actually get votes in the ballot. And guess what? Donations don't vote. People do.
Yeah, great point, Cam. Great to hear from both of you. Josie, thank you. Josie Sabatino from Summa Strategies and Cam Holmstrom from Niipaawi Strategies. We'll speak soon. Talkback is coming up. We're going to talk about food prices on Talkback with your help right after the latest breaking news on News Radio.
It's time to talk back.
On Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Call now.
And have your say.
1-833-668-2577.
Welcome to Talkback. It's 2 hours of debate and discussion on the big issues of the day. Today's topic is the price of food. And here's the main question. Why do you think food costs so much in Canada? Why do you think food costs so much in Canada? I mean, we've heard from all kinds of politicians. We had one on today, a Conservative MP, but we've heard from Liberals. We've heard from New Democrats all this week. They all have different answers when you ask them, why are food costs so high? But I mean, this has been the issue in our politics this week, outside of celebrating Stephen Harper. This issue, food, the rising cost of food affordability. I mean, this has dominated the debate on Parliament Hill this week. And the Liberals, the Carney government, they know it's a big issue. They know it's a big issue for Canadians, and that millions of Canadians are struggling with high food costs. And that's why just before the resumption of Parliament, they rolled out their rebranded GST rebate and renamed it the Groceries and Essentials rebate, and there will be higher payments for those who qualify for that and a special one-time payment in June. But giving people more of their own money doesn't really do much to bring down the price of food. The Conservatives, when you ask them, and we did today, they say it's all about taxes. It's about fuel taxes. It's about carbon taxes. It's about things like the industrial carbon tax and the clean fuel standard and new regulations around packaging. They say that's why we're paying more for food. And they say that's why food inflation is worse here than in other countries. Liberals counter that. They dispute that. They deny that. They say it's all made up. It's all nonsense. It's imaginary. And that the so-called taxes that the Conservatives keep complaining about, they're just imaginary taxes. They're imaginary. The Prime Minister said that yesterday. He said the impact on the price of food from the industrial carbon tax is precisely zero. That's his claim. The industrial carbon tax has no impact on the price of food, so say the Liberals. And as for the clean fuel standard, they say that has no impact either because most of the fuels are exempt. To which the Conservatives say, no, they're not. And when you listen to the New Democrats, and when you listen to people running for the leadership of the NDP, they say it's because we're all being ripped off. We're being gouged. We're being ripped off by big food and Loblaws and Metro and Sobeys, a lot of them. They're all ripping us off. They're greedy corporations run by greedy CEOs who don't care about people. They only care about their shareholders. The front runner in the NDP leadership race, Avi Lewis, has gone so far as to suggest the government should get into the grocery business. There should be government-run grocery stores. We've talked about it in the past. That was a popular promise in the recent election in New York City. The guy making that promise, man, Danny, he's the mayor now of New York City. Might sound like a crazy idea to some people, but I guess others don't think it's so crazy. Every expert I've ever interviewed about being gouged at the grocery store, whether grocery stores are ripping us off, every expert I've talked to says it's not happening. That's not the case. Profit margins are razor thin. Pennies on the dollar. And, the grocery business is actually one of the lowest profit margin businesses you can be in. But still, a lot of people think, man, we are getting taken to the cleaners when we do our grocery shop, and they are ripping us off. Well, with all of that being said, I mean, these are the facts. The latest reading on food inflation from Statistics Canada as part of the Consumer Price Index report, food inflation was 6.2%. Food prices are 27% higher than they were 5 years ago. Food prices are predicted to increase another 4 to 6% this year. And this year, it's expected that a family of four will spend on average $17,500 for food, an increase of almost $1,000 from last year. And there are more than 2 million visits to Canadian food banks every year. Food banks are so busy they can't keep up with the demand. Why are food costs so high? Why is food so expensive in Canada? Is it because of carbon taxes and over-regulation? Is it climate change? Is it the low Canadian dollar? Is it greed? Corporate greed. $17,500 a year. And you have to take home the $17,500 first after tax, which is no small feat these days. The price of food. Our topic today on the Midweek Talkback, food inflation. Why do you think food prices are so high in Canada? 1-833-668-2577. That's our call-in line for Talkback. 1-833-668-2577. If you've never called before, just mention that. We will make your call a priority. We'd love to hear from you today. And let's talk about food. Why the price of food is so darn high. I'm Rob Snow. This is Now You Know. This is Talkback. And this is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Food prices. I want to ask you about food prices, why you think they're so high in Canada. Why is food so expensive in Canada? Is it because of carbon taxes, overregulation, climate change, the Canadian dollar, just good old-fashioned corporate greed? What do you think? 1-833-668-2577, 1-833-668-2577. Lots of lines available. I was looking today at some of the older food price reports that they do every year out of Dalhousie University in Halifax. The last one came out a few months ago. Sylvain Charlebois, the food professor, one of the lead researchers there. That's the report that said the average family of four is going to spend $17,500 on food this year. $17,500. My goodness. Back in 2018 was the first year that these researchers actually put a dollar figure on their estimates. So, 8 years ago. 8 years ago, when that report was released, it said the typical family of four would pay about $12,000 a year in food. It was $11,948 back in 2018. And that was an increase of $348 from the year before in 2017. The most recent report predicted that this year, the same family is going to pay $17,571 for food, and it would be $994 more than last year. Like, do you have an extra $994 just burning a hole in your pocket? But in 8 years, it's gone from a little less than $12,000 a year for food to more than $17,000 a year. That's an increase of 46% in 8 years. What is going on there? How do you explain that? What happened? When I was getting ready for the show today, I was saying, well, how does that compare to our wages? Have our wages kept up? Because everything is relative. So according to StatScan, back in December of 2018, the average worker in Canada was earning, on average, all averages, just a little more than $1,000 a week, $1,011 a week before taxes. 8 years later, the average weekly earnings for Canadian workers is now $1,230 a week before taxes. So that's an increase of 21% in 8 years, according to StatScan. So, when we think about this, food prices on average have climbed 46% in 8 years. Average weekly earnings are up less than half of that. No wonder so many people feel squeezed. What we want to know today is what's behind the squeeze. How has this happened? Why have food prices driven so much faster than wages? What happened? What changed? Is it the pandemic? You know, the Conservatives and taxes. What do you think? 1-833-668-2577. 1-833-668-2577. It's Talkback. Let's go to Tony up first today on Talkback. Get us going. Fort McLeod, Alberta. Hello, Tony.
Hello. Yeah,
good to hear from you, Tony. Yeah, very good. Thank you.
On this food prices, I've hauled produce out of the States to Canada to Alberta here for over 40 years. And the freight rate, they call that a cost of operations. Now, if you're contracted to Western Grocers or Sobeys or whoever it is, you get a certain price. Now, that same load of produce, if it has to come on an American truck because they can't find a Canadian truck, they pay almost twice as much. It's probably as high as $15,000, $16,000 to come from Yuma, Arizona. And the buyers that buy for these places buy the worst garbage you've ever seen for produce on the bottom end. Like I say, I've hauled it for over 40 years, and the stuff I load, I wouldn't buy. So that cost is passed on. And you take beef,
okay.
you look at Cargill, the price what they're getting right now for cow calf in Alberta is between $6,000 and $7,000, and they're butchering heifers now because they don't have enough steers to butcher. So consequently, there's going to be a shortage of cattle, and Cargill controls the price. And there's nothing you can do about it. Then the store ups their percentage on top of it, so you're paying $30, $35 for a big steak, or $40 to $50 for a roast. So,
yeah, the beef prices are incredible. What has happened to beef prices? I mean, you kind of go to the grocery store these days. It's just like you walk by the beef aisle or the freezer section there. You
gotta close your eyes.
Yeah, you just kind of dream. Wow, I wish I could buy that, but I can't. So yeah.
I live in cattle country, and I've talked to old timers that have cattle ranches for 60 to 70 years, and they say there's a crash coming in. There's going to be a crash in the cattle prices because they've been too high for too long. The bottom's going to fall out of the cattle price here. One of these days, we're going to get up and find out they're not worth $6,000 or $7,000. They're back down to $800, $900 a head.
Well, not good for them. Maybe better for the consumer, I suppose, but not good for the farmer. That's for sure. The rancher. Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
The rancher right now, if he downsizes his herd, we'll say for argument's sake, he cuts 150, 200 heads. So he gets himself $750,000. That money he can't put in the bank because he's got to pay for his operational costs to keep going right now. So when it comes to buy cattle again, he's got no money. So he can't rebuild his herd. They say right now the cattle in Canada is 1989 count.
That's right. Yeah. Not enough beef, too many people. 1-833-668-2577. Does nobody eat? Nobody eats? Nobody feels the pain at the grocery store? Is this not an issue? Did I overread this? That this is like just not an issue? Food prices. What's going on with food prices in Canada? 1-833-668-2577. This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
1-833-668-2577. What's going on with the price of food in this country? What do you think is behind the high food prices? 1-833-668-2577. Got 4 lines there. Donna is in Halifax today. Hi, Donna.
Oh, hi. Thanks for taking my call.
Hi, Donna. You're welcome.
I do agree with the Conservatives are saying about the extra taxes that the farmers are paying, and then it's so on down the line, and then it's passed on to the consumer. But another thing, why groceries are so high, I've talked to managers and whatnot of different businesses, and theft. Theft is out of control in all the stores. Grocery stores, Shoppers Drug Mart, Giant Tiger, some of the other, whatever, and that adds the price of the groceries up too. So,
sure,
I mean, and I know even the superstore where I go, there was a security guard at the front of the store and one at the other entrance of the door. So then they've got to pay all those extra
costs.
Too.
Yeah.
So there is a reason, but there are good deals out there if people look. You know, I mean, I'm by myself and I watch for good deals. I love getting a good deal, and.
Who doesn't love a good deal?
The groceries have gone up. And,
where are you finding the deals, Donna? What's
bringing in much money?
Where are you finding the deals? Like, what do you find?
Different places. I know Superstore every month they have 4 or 5 items that you can buy for whatever price. And I'll tell you this little story, and then I'll say no more. I happened to be in my Superstore, and I call it mine because they had. Or two ago, 10-pound bag of carrots, 10-pound bag of onions, and a 10-pound bag of beets. Each one was $2 for the 10 pounds. So I bought a 10-pound bag of each, and then they had a 10-pound bag of potatoes was $4. So for $10, I got a 10-pound bag of carrots, 10-pound bag of beets, and a 10-pound bag of onions and whatnot. Now, it's just me, so some of the onions
it's just you.
cut up and frozen.
It's just you. You've got 30 pounds of vegetables. I mean, what are you doing with
them? There with a couple of kids. She was buying a bag that was 2 or 3 pounds for $2.49. I said, "Oh my God, go over there. There's you can get a 10-pound bag." Well, I never used 10 pounds. Who the heck would? If you've got 4 people in the family, who wouldn't use 10-pound bags of carrots? And I picked up some for my sister. I called my sister. She said, "Oh my God, get me some." So there are deals out there. And the beets.
Sure.
I made 13 bottles of pickled beets. It's a little work
to do,
but the young people today are too lazy to do anything, in my opinion. A lot of them are.
Well, I mean, I imagine you're retired. I mean, you have a day to spend, pickling beets. The rest of us are kind of busy. I don't have a day to spend, pickling 10 pounds of beets. You've got 30 pounds of vegetables there, though.
When I worked.
You did?
I mean, it takes you about an hour and a half to do it, and you don't have to do it all in one day. But I mean, even if you are working, I did it all my whole life. I used to go down to the valley and pick up carrots, potatoes, this, that, the other thing. I made my own relish. I made my own beets. I made cut up the carrots and froze them. It took me a while to do it, but I did it. My husband and I worked together, and we did it, and we saved a pound of money.
Gotcha. Good to hear from you. I appreciate your interest in the topic. Food costs, shoplifting, theft, increase in shoplifting and theft from grocery stores. One reason, she says, but you can find a deal. 10-pound bag of potatoes for $2, that would be a deal. I don't know. I'd have to eat a lot of carrots if I bought a 10-pound bag of carrots, but $2. 1-833-668-2577. Talking food today on Talkback. With your help, the news next on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Food prices. Why is food so expensive? Is it because of carbon taxes, climate change, the low dollar? Are we being ripped off? A lot of people think we're being ripped off. Do you think we're being taken advantage of, gouged at the grocery store? 1-833-668-2577. Oh, we have Dick on the line. Hi, Dick. You're on the air.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you just fine, Dick. Thank you for calling. What do you think is going on here?
Oh, thanks for taking my call. I don't think we're being ripped off at the grocery store, but first of all, I got to say that I am so relieved when I heard on the show earlier on all these taxes are imaginary because my groceries are going way up.
Mm-hmm.
Just give me 1 second.
Okay.
Do I take this first?
You can take it. It's not going to the lab.
Okay.
The guy's not showing up, so.
Okay. Hi, sorry about that. But
That's okay.
Yeah, I'm so relieved that these taxes are imaginary because my groceries are going up, and I quite frankly don't eat the same food I used to eat 3 years ago or 4 years ago. When I go to Costco and buy beef, I just walk by that. I don't even look at it anymore.
It's here.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to let you go, Dick, while you get your thing sorted out. But that is a common refrain about the price of beef. I mean, it is extraordinary what's happened with the price of beef. But you mentioned imaginary taxes. This is the Liberal defense in the House of Commons whenever the Conservatives start griping about the high cost of food and billions of people having to rely on food banks every year. It's causing real anxiety for a lot of people. This is, I played this earlier. This is Kevin Lamoureux. He's a longtime MP from Winnipeg. And this was his explanation about all these taxes, and they're just imaginary, and they're really not impacting the price of food. Let's roll that tape.
You know, the Conservatives come up with this imaginary food tax. If you were to carry the logic through, follow the logic on this one, Mr. Speaker, that means that the income of a farmer, or the income of a truck driver, or an income of the store clerk, take away their taxes that they pay, because that also adds to food costs, no doubt, right? At the end of the day, Mr. Speaker, it's all imaginary with the Conservatives. They have clearly demonstrated that their ideas just do not work. They're not feasible. Why should any Canadian give any credibility to the types of silly motions that we have before us today in the House of Commons?
Right. Imaginary, because the Conservatives have been insisting for weeks now, taxes are at the root of the food affordability problem that we have in this country, because they're working their way through the food supply chain, the industrial carbon tax, clean fuel standard, rules and regulations about packaging, single-use plastics, paper straws, all that stuff. And the Liberals say, no, it's imaginary. It's the imaginary. The Prime Minister actually said yesterday the impact of the industrial carbon tax, which, by the way, is going to keep going up year after year. The impact of that industrial carbon tax on what we pay at the grocery store is zero. Zero. It has no impact at all, he says. Do you buy that? Do you believe that? Prime Minister Carney cited research from the Canadian Climate Institute. It is worth noting that the Canadian Climate Institute is funded primarily by the Government of Canada. This is the organization that replaced the National Roundtable on the Environment and the Economy. This institute was created with a government grant of $20 million. So it has critics who say, well, the Canadian Climate Institute is going to toe the party line because it wouldn't exist without the generosity of the government. So, of course, if the government wants to claim that its industrial carbon tax has no impact on food prices, it's handy to have an institute that backs it up with its own research. Read into that what you will. Peter is in Halifax. Thanks for calling. Peter, you're on the line. Hi, Peter.
Hello, Rob. You know,
yeah, hi, Peter.
I believe it is all about the covenants. See, here in Halifax, there is virtually no competition. There is no place other than the large grocery stores that you can sell food. If they leave a property, or even if a likely property comes on the market, the big corporation will buy it up, put a covenant on it, whereas you can put any type of business you want as long as it's not a grocery business. And at that point in time, you completely eliminate the competition. It's terrible here. I mean, unless you drive, it's a quarter-mile walk to the grocery store. It's horrible, uphill. And then, so there's the covenants is one big thing, and so there's no competition. Because I come from Thunder Bay, Ontario, and there's all sorts of little stores and and specialty stores and ethnic stores and family-run groceries, you had a very wide selection. Now I think, we've got Gateway, which is all hell and gone in Dartmouth, and Giant Tiger. And, they have to compete. Anyways, I truly believe it's a covenant. I even phoned a place. Get this. I phoned a place.
Like the concentration of ownership.
Oh, absolutely.
Like business restrictions. If you have if there's a grocery store here, you can't have a grocery store there. That kind of thing. Very good point, Peter.
Sell bread. You can't even sell bread in a location close to the grocery store. If you've got a Dollarama near the grocery store, you can't sell bread there. It's unbelievable.
Isn't that something, Peter? Very interesting point that you raised. 1-833-668-2577. Now we're getting somewhere. This is Talkback on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
We're talking about food prices. Why do you think food is so expensive in Canada? This is Talkback on News Radio. Let's go back to Halifax and speak with Mike is on the line. Hello, Mike.
Hello, Rob. How are you today?
Yeah, very good, Mike. Thanks for calling. What do you think is happening here? What's going on?
A lot of your previous callers, I think, hit it right on the nail. But the biggest one of all, I would have to say, would be greed.
Greed. All right. Why do you say that?
Well, it's funny. 1 week you can go into, I'll use Sobeys as an example here. Pop is $1.99. The next week you go in, it's $3.59. And it's like that with a lot of different products. And it's almost as if they time it as to when, like the Super Bowl weekends this weekend. I'm surprised that Pop and chicken wings and all of those things that we get to entertain ourselves with aren't jacked up. And it happens that way from time to time. So it makes you kind of think to yourself, what really is going on there?
Right. So you think it's kind of like the gas stations who hike the price of gas before a long weekend, something like that.
It keeps happening all the time. So there must be some truth to that.
Yeah. Whenever they did have the bread price fixing scandal, but for the most part, whenever they have tried to investigate, say, collusion or whatever in the grocery store business, along with the gas retailing, they don't find it's a big issue.
It's funny how things work themselves out and things are. There are ways around it. You do have to shop around. It's okay if you have a vehicle, but if you're a retired person on a fixed income, that's really tough, especially if they have no transportation to get around with.
Sure. What do you think about, because just politically speaking here, because, the big talk in Ottawa is it's about the taxes, that we have an industrial carbon tax. We have this clean fuel standard. Do you think those sorts of measures are responsible for higher food prices? That if we didn't have an industrial carbon tax or we didn't have a clean fuel standard, maybe food prices would be a little lower? That's what the Conservatives are saying.
I spent some time in the freight brokering business, and I heard of surcharges added on to fuel charges and stuff. So I think there could be some truth to what you're saying there.
Okay. Thank you for your call. Mike in Halifax. Rob is in Calgary. Hi, Rob.
Hi, how's it going?
Yeah, very good, Rob. Thank you.
Didn't the Liberals change the name of the GST to help with groceries?
Yeah, it's the Groceries and Essentials Benefit now. You don't get a GST rebate anymore. It's Groceries and Essentials Benefit. And it's going up, which is good for the people who qualify for the GST rebate. And that's 12 million people. It's been proven if you send people who are low income or even moderate incomes, if you send them money, they will spend it because they need the money. And this is a GST rebate. It's their money to begin with. It's a tax rebate, right? So I'm not going to totally slam that.
No, but it still doesn't address the core of the problem.
And what do you think is the core of the problem?
The grocery prices are never going to go down until all the carbon taxes are gone and supply management.
And supply management. We haven't even talked about that yet.
I'm using a voice assistant to convert your voice to text and respond to you.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Are you still with me, Rob? Oh, he dropped. Okay. I think he's got a little fat finger and hit his AI assistant on his phone. Okay, let's go to Woodstock. It's always an adventure, open line radio, folks. Kathy in Woodstock. Hi, Kathy.
Oh, hi, Rob. Well,
hi, Kathy.
There are many different reasons for all of this nonsense going on. It's not just one. It's not just two. It is a lot. When I moved within the same province to a different area, I had a selected type of product I needed to buy at one of the big chains, and I didn't see it on the store shelf, so I asked them about it. And I was told, oh, we don't carry that product in this area. But it was the same chain store. So I actually called head office in Toronto to find out what was up with that. And could I do a special order that they would get it in if I take a whole case of something? No, we have the province divided into areas for delivery and for stocking of products. And the same thing happens with pet food. I found that out. So it's a business thing. But cost of beef, cost of coffee, that is totally 100% related to lack of supply. And the reason for lack of supply? Weather. Weather has created the drought out in the prairies, has created no feed for the beef farmers. The beef farmers have reduced the cattle to provide the beef. There aren't cattle out there to give you the meat in the first place. Avian flu in Ontario before Christmas, hundreds of thousands of chickens in barns were culled because they had the avian flu. That doesn't get talked about too much, but it is happening at the grassroots level.
Yeah, that's a good
point,
too.
So there's more than one thing.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Thank you for your call. Be right back. Talking about food prices today. You're on News Radio. Talkback.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Why is food so expensive in Canada? Dennis is in Fort McLeod. Tell us why. Hello, Dennis.
Hey, Rob. How are you today?
Yeah, very good, Dennis. Thank you. What do you think? What's going on with food prices, Dennis?
You know, I am so glad that me as a farmer in southern Alberta, that I can learn something new every day. The thousands of dollars extra that I pay in fuel costs because of the carbon tax is imaginary. Huh. Oh, imaginary. Okay. The cost of trucking my grain into market has gone from just over $350 a load to almost $500 because of the increase of cost. Imaginary. That is absolutely mind-blowing to me, how the added costs that I pay are imaginary. You know, of course,
now again, the government is saying, you know, farmers not impacted by the industrial carbon tax.
Absolute garbage.
Why do you say that?
Absolute 100% liberal garbage.
Why is that?
Every single dollar that I have to pay out for, that automatically trickles up the food chain. Every single dollar that the trucker has to pay more to get that product into town, that trickles up the food chain. And then you add on taxes that have been added onto electric bills and gas bills. You know, everywhere down the manufacturing line, their cost goes up. Who do you think pays for that cost going up? The end consumer. So, of course, costs are going to go up in the grocery store. Now, it is, in my opinion, it's split between two things. The monopoly of the grocers, absolutely. But it has also been all the added costs being shoveled on to everybody from me that produces it, the trucker that ships it. You know, to repeat Pierre Poilievre, you know, he said it quite eloquently. This is imaginary Blow it out your behind.
Well, that's what the Liberals are saying. And the clean fuel standard, if I could, sir, the clean fuel standard. Are you hit by that at all? They say you're not. You're exempt from that. On the farm.
That ranks right up there with the carbon tax not affecting me. You know, it's all Liberal garbage, 100%. Now, thousands of dollars out of my pocket, but I'm just dreaming about it. Really? You know, as a small family farm, I struggle to begin with. And then you throw on all these added costs. You know, it's affecting everybody. It doesn't just affect me. It doesn't just affect the trucker. And it doesn't just affect the grocer. It impacts the entire population. Because who's the main beneficiary of all these added taxes that are paid? The government that hands out these $20 billion contracts to their best friends.
All right, sir. You don't sound too pleased that all of these taxes are imaginary, according to the Liberals. I do thank you for your call and giving us, the perspective of a small scale farmer there. 1-833-668-2577. Food prices. That's it for hour number 1. I do thank you for your calls. We will pick it up on hour number 2. Maybe introduce a new angle for you as well to the whole food price saga. 1-833-668-2577. Hour number 2 of Talkback. On the way, right after the latest breaking news. I'm Rob Snow. This is News Radio.
It's time to talk back.
On Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Call now.
And have your say.
1-833-668-2577.
Talking about high food prices in Canada, asking for your insight on why food prices are so high. Conservatives say carbon taxes, overregulation. Liberals say it's imaginary. The low Canadian dollar plays a role. Climate change plays a role. The Canadian Climate Institute has said carbon taxes are not the problem. Industrial carbon taxes are not the problem. That's not why we're having trouble affording what we used to be able to afford. Climate change is the problem. Why are coffee prices up 28%? That's climate change, it says. A few years ago, there was the great lettuce shortage. Everybody remember that? Lettuce. What's going on with the price of lettuce? Climate change. Why are some other foods so expensive? Drought. One of the callers in the first hour, Kathy in Woodstock. Drought. Multi-year droughts in some areas of Canada, of course, and many other parts of the world. It's not because of carbon taxes, according to the Institute. If you're looking for a culprit, the culprit is climate change. What do you think about that? Extreme weather events wreaking havoc with the food supply. But here in this country, it's tough. The annual cost for buying groceries, up 46% in 8 years. But why is that the case? 1-833-668-2577. Let's start with Brennan here in hour number 2. Brennan, what do you think is going on?
How you doing?
Yeah, very good. Thank you.
I think it's almost everything everybody's talked about plays a factor in it, but I think the 3 biggest are going to have to be the same. One is the same reason our airfares are expensive. Our telecom is probably the most expensive in the developed world. It's the oligopolies we allow to exist in a lot of our industries here in Canada, whether it be airline travel or telecom or food and grocery. They're charging what they are because they can. Like, what are you going to do? Not buy food? You're not going to talk to someone on the phone? Another one would be our massive increase in population. I kind of get it from the freight perspective here. There's a lot of logistics involved in that increase of population, and you're hiring more truck drivers, more buyers, more suppliers, and of course, obviously those costs are going to be passed on to the consumer. And obviously there's the taxes as well that do add into it. But yeah, I think it's honestly just they're charging what they can because they can. And there's no oversight behind it.
If I could just jump in there, Brennan. If I could just jump in there. Okay. Lack of competition. I hear what you're saying there. The oligopoly, you go to Metro, Loblaws, Sobeys. What else do you have? Walmart, I guess, would be another big one. Costco. Okay. The government, you'll remember a few years ago, said, well, we're going to try and get more foreign competition into the Canadian grocery store business. And we know calls were made to like Aldi and, big German chains, European grocery. Please come to Canada. Please do business in Canada. They're not here. Why do you think that is?
That's a good question, Rob. I don't really have a solid answer on that, but my theory would be that it's an expensive market to get into, and I think that's kind of why we're seeing the same thing with telecom too. There could be a lot of relationships built in this country, like between Cargill and the buyers, for example, for beef prices, that, you know, it could be hard to tap into that and to get a competitive rate out of those guys, right? Like, I purchase a lot of stuff for my company, and with our businesses that were return customers, we get a much better deal than someone else going in, right? So that could have something to do with it, but honestly, I don't have a solid answer for you on that.
All right. Thank you. Interesting stuff so far, though. Thank you. Great call, Brennan. Andre's in Kitchener. Hi, Andre.
Hi, Rob.
Yeah, good to hear from you today. What do you think is going on? What do you think is happening?
Well, so for one, you know, I'd like to complain like everybody about the food, yes, but I'd like to get right to the point. I've heard many times now that Mr. Carney is going to get some money back to people because it's too expensive, correct?
Yes, through the new GST. If you qualify for the GST rebate that comes 4 times a year, it's going up by 25% this year, and you're going to get a one-time payment in June if you qualify for it.
That makes me sad. That makes me sad. Knowing that, some people were smarter earlier when they said a little bit of the greediness that's happening out there. So here we're going to give them some money. There's probably an election happening, stuff like that. So I don't like that, because you're not fixing the problem. It doesn't matter how much money you're giving me. Like you said earlier, my coffee was $12. Now it's $24. The ground beef used to be a certain price. Now it's $8 a pound. You know what I mean? That's just insane. So, now for like a month, and my wife gave me trouble, I was buying these $10 bags that are pre-made, you know, like meatballs and stuff like that. And it's just...
Yes. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, I buy those from time to time too.
Right. And, you know, the kids can't tell the difference, but it's just like, where are we going now with this, right? So now, for sure, like the lady said earlier, I do buy bigger bags of stuff if it's on sale. I don't need it. I'll make some bags and give it to some of my neighbors that have gardens in the summertime, you know what I mean? So we are community help and service on our street. But the thing is that I bought a Breva because I needed it for my cold sore. And once the superstore, it was $24 and the box was empty. We went to Shoppers Drug Mart. It was $21, and I said no. So I was waiting in the car, and she ran in to make it fast. Then we went to Sobeys. It was $17, and it was not even on sale. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like I didn't understand, and that's what I mean about the gouge. Thanks, Rob.
Okay. Thank you, Andre. All the best to you. Joanne is in... Oh, we have to stop. Joanne, you hang on the line. Sorry, I lost track of time there. The conversation's so interesting. We'll be right back. It's hour number 2 of Talkback. Food prices. What is the culprit? What's behind 6% food inflation in this country? 6.2% according to the latest inflation report. Why is this happening year after year after year? Food up 46% in 8 years. Wages only up 21% over the same period. This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Joanne in Halifax on the high cost of food. Hi, Joanne. Thanks for waiting. Appreciate it.
It's funny, while I was waiting to get on, my flyers came in the mail, so I made some notes.
Okay.
At Christmas time, I make a lot of plum puddings and that, so I use molasses. So I get the 5 kg container. I paid $24.99 for it at Sobeys, and not a word of lie, $34.99 at Superstore. The exact same thing. They do sell
Big
bread
difference.
here at the dollar stores. I don't know, one of the callers said that they don't, but here in Halifax they sell them. And you have to watch your prices at Costco, too, because their prices have gone up, too. I mean, I got $126 worth of groceries there the other day, and I'm telling you, the bottom of my cart wasn't even full. Also, like, I use Pam a lot, spray, like that spray Pam.
The spray Pam? Okay, sure.
I get it for $3.99 at the dollar store. Superstore and Sobeys, $7.99. The exact same can, the same writing on it, everything. I went to Gateway last week. I got beef stew for $5.97 a pound. Superstore and Sobeys, $17.99 a pound. Yeah, come on. Ooh. Like there's something wrong there. And while I'm at Gateway, I like the cooked puddings. They got them over there for $1.97. They're $3.99 at Sobeys. And Sobeys this week have their chicken wings on for $6.99. But if you want to go to No Frills, they're $3.99. And I priced.
So you said if I could, Joanne, can I just jump in there? You say something's wrong. Well, what's wrong? Like, what do you think is wrong?
$10 in the difference of the price. Like, come on, you don't mind a quarter, right. But I mean, you know, like. I seen a small roast at the Superstore for $34.99. I'm sure it would only fit 2 people. I said to the guy, "Will that sell at that price?" He said, "No, it'll probably go in the garbage." Like, give me a break. Yeah. Like, it's ridiculous, the prices. And I know I don't drink coffee, but my friend does, hey, and she said she's very choosy about her cups of coffee now because the prices just jump so high, it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm blown away by the price of coffee at the grocery store.
Did they say 45% groceries have risen in the last year? Is that what they said on the news? I think it was. Like, that's ridiculous. And like, we got a water bill the other day. It's up. We got a power bill that's up. Like it. And I got under $5 raise on my old age pension, Canada pension, this month, or in January. They said the pensions were supposed to go up in January. I think it was $3.68 or something. It was under $5. That's between the 2 checks. Where are you going to go for $3.68? You can't mail a card for that. Like, it's ridiculous. Right. I don't know where they think people are going to get the money to keep living. It's ridiculous. Yeah. I mean,
but just to circle back, when you say something's wrong, you think you are being gouged.
Oh, definitely. When some stores can sell it like $4 or $5 cheaper, why are you able to sell it $4 or $5? Or like I said, the molasses, $10 in the difference. I live between the Superstore and Sobeys, so I just go to both of them. When the flyers come, I write down that's what we eat on, whatever's on sale that week. Like, I'm not paying the prices that they're asking for and I love a beef roast, but there's no way I would pay the price. No way.
All right, I understand. Thank you, Joanne. Thank you. It's kind of sad you can't afford a beef roast anymore. Jonathan, Calgary, up next. Jonathan. Hi, Jonathan.
Hi, Rob. Good morning, and thank you for taking my call.
Yeah, hi there. What's your opinion?
I think we can, if we think about all the reasons, we can think a lot of so many reasons. But to me, in my opinion, this all falls to 5 major reasons. Number one is the stagnant economy. Our productivity also stagnate, and then economy stagnant. And then second, the regulations and taxes. That's also main one. And the government has control of it. Third, the grocers. I'm not thinking that the grocers are abusing this one. They need to make profit as well, but they have to do what they have to do, right? And then the third is the weaker dollar.
Weaker dollar.
Sure. Our dollar is weaker. If the dollar is weaker, our buying power as well is become weak. We can no longer buy the things that we used to buy in the same amount of dollar that we have, right?
Yeah, we have a 73-cent dollar.
Yeah, and then the unpredictability of the global supply chain right now, it also affects, if we look at it, the products from China before or wherever it might be, it's not the same anymore. It goes up as well. So everything goes up. But the problem is our economy is not growing. The clear path to address this is, number one, the hardest part. I don't know, everybody will not agree with me.
Economic growth, improved productivity. Economic growth, improved productivity. Better jobs, higher wages.
Because when the economy grows, the wages also go up.
Yes.
Taxes, businesses go up. Then we can keep the lives that we are enjoyed. Or otherwise, we have to spend less and suffer. And
well, I think a lot of people are spending less right now. I think that's pretty clear. from the previous caller, who only shops depending on what the flyers are. Thank you, though, for your call, Jonathan. Appreciate it today. Be right back. Food prices. What's going on with food prices? 6% food inflation in this country. This is News Radio.
Something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Let's go to Jeff in Kitchener. Ask him about high food prices, what he thinks is going on. Hi, Jeff.
Hey, Rob. How you doing?
Very good, Jeff. What do you think is happening?
Well, it seems like it's kind of like a mixed opinion from all your past callers. Firstly, I have no doubt in my mind that there's some sort of greed that happens with the grocers. I mean, as businesses, they're out to make profits just like any other business across the board. However, if you look at not just the grocery industry and you look at all the other industries, such as your other caller that, was talking about her home gas, if you look at the price of water, if you look at the price of, so many things that are on the market these days, it looks like the price of everything has gone up. And the thing that causes this is the government taxes at the beginning of the chain.
All right.
So
Such as?
they have to, so the carbon tax and the clean emissions tax or whatever they want to call it these days.
Yeah, clean fuel standard.
Yeah. So the farmers at the beginning, when they're producing their food, they got to pay extra to produce the food. The transport to deliver the goods, they have to pay more. It just goes down the line the last person on the line is us as consumers, unfortunately. And so we're the ones that see the hike in all the prices. Economics, basically.
Sure. And to your point, and to a previous caller's point, water bill goes up. Well, it's not just somebody with a 3-bedroom bungalow sees their water bill go up. What's the water bill at a big warehouse style grocery store? What's that water bill, right? And has that gone up gone up or down in the last 5 years? Or a heating bill,
or the price of heating? Yes, exactly.
I don't know what's going on with your insurance. My insurance certainly hasn't gone down in the last 5 years. Just keeps going up year after year after year, and the property tax and all of it. It must add up, right?
Well, and that's exactly it. So they can, I see online people are they're showing pictures at the bottom of the receipts, and they're like, well, it's not the federal tax that's causing this, because look at my taxes. The taxes on the bottom of my receipt are minuscule. But what they fail to realize is that the taxes start at the beginning, and what you're seeing is the end result in the item price. Yeah, you're not going to see a bunch of tax on it because the tax is already infiltrated into the price of the item itself.
Yeah. Very interesting. Solid point. Jeff in Kitchener, well worth the wait. Let's get to Teresa in Calgary before the news. Hi, Teresa.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, very good, Teresa. Good to hear from you. What's your opinion?
Well, so today I had a craving for stew. Beef stew, simple.
Beef stew.
Beef stew.
Nothing better.
So I went to exactly. So I went to the grocery store to get the meat to make the beef stew. $36.35 a kg.
Wow. $36 a kilogram.
The package.
For stewing beef.
Exactly. The package had 9 pieces of meat in it, and it was $9.09. So $1 per bite of meat.
Bite of beef
to make a stew. Crazy. $1.
$1.
It's insane. It's absolutely, things have gone totally and completely out of control, and I can't. With the way that the government has taxed us on everything we do, everything, the way the government has taxed us, we can't afford to make stew.
On a $1 a bite, you can't.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
So I honestly, we need to have some tax reform looked at across the board.
Gotcha, Teresa. Unbelievable. $1 a bite for beef stew in Canada. Food prices. Talkback.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Our topic today, and we've been enjoying the conversation, has been food prices and why you think food costs are so high in this country. It has been the dominant issue in the House of Commons this week so far, and was again today as the question period is underway right now. Let's give you a sense of the debate right now. Pierre Poilievre not in the House today. The Prime Minister not in the House today. So leading off the questioning in English for the official opposition was Mark Strahl, Conservative MP Mark Strahl. Let's listen to this.
The Finance Minister promised 3 years ago that he had a plan to lower food prices. Well, how's that working out? Since then, the cost of groceries has skyrocketed, with the price of lettuce up 40%, coffee up over 30%, the price of beef up over 25%. The recycled plan for a temporary rebate won't reduce the cost of a single item of food. Their plan has failed. So why don't the Liberals support our food affordability plan to axe the industrial carbon tax, cut the fuel standards tax, and boost competition in grocery stores to lower food prices for all Canadians?
Hear, hear. Honourable Government House Leader.
Well, Mr. Speaker, today is a big day. Today is the day where, if all goes well, we will be passing historic assistance for Canadian families grappling with affordability issues with respect to food and essential goods. Right on. And after much cajoling, the opposition finally decided to stop the games, stop the obstruction, and to allow this bill to move on to the Senate so we can get that aid to Canadian families now. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Chilliwack Hope.
Most Canadians will get no benefit from this recycled plan. A small number will get about $10 a week, but that won't make a dent in the over $340 a week a family of four has to spend to buy groceries. The Finance Minister promised he would bring down grocery prices 3 years ago. He failed then, he's failing again. Their plan isn't working, so why don't they vote for our food affordability plan to cut the industrial carbon tax, axe the fuel standards tax, and finally lower grocery prices for all Canadians?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Mr. Speaker, last fall, all these Conservatives did was quote Food Bank Canada. Over and over and over, they talked about Food Bank Canada. They failed to notice that Food Bank Canada recommended exactly what we are doing right now, which is put more money in the pockets of those that need it the most. And yet they say, well, they want to cooperate. Can they stop obstructing legislation that is helping Canadians get ahead? They need to be partners in this work, Mr. Speaker. Canadians certainly are stepping up for each other. Why can't they step up for their constituents?
The Honourable Member for Newtecumseh-Gwillimbury.
Mr. Speaker, news reports this week confirm what Canadians already know. Our economy is on life support. Because of Liberal mismanagement, we've had 2 consecutive quarters of zero economic growth. While our GDP is stagnant, grocery inflation keeps climbing. This year will cost $17,600 to feed a family of 4, nearly $1,000 more than it did in 2025. Why is it under these Liberals the only thing rising is the price of food?
The Honourable Minister of Industry.
Mr. Speaker, since September, we've created 189,000 jobs. Great news for Canada. That is more jobs created in Canada than in the U.S. We have the second fastest growing economy. And let me give you examples. Alstom, 240 new jobs at Thunder Bay. 150 new jobs at Saint-Bruno-de-Montarville. 100 new jobs in La Pocatière. 330 new jobs at Bombardier. 300 new jobs at Valley Glencore Sudbury. By a note, St. Thomas, Ontario, Conservative riding. 300 new jobs will
to come save Gwillimbury.
Mr. Speaker, this government could talk a glass eye to sleep, but it's the Liberals who need to wake up. Do they need to see how many more Canadians are on the street shaking a coffee cup for change? This government refuses to take the tax off food. They refuse to boost competition, and they refuse to deliver a real plan for food affordability. Their rebate won't reduce the price of a single item at their grocery store. Will they support our food affordability plan and deliver some real relief for Canadians?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Family.
Mr. Speaker, the average family is saving $16,000 a year on childcare. You know who refuses to support young families with the cost of living? The Conservatives across the aisle. Mr. Speaker, families are saving $800 a year in food costs for their children at school. You know who refuses to feed hungry children at school, Mr. Speaker? The Conservatives. Mr. Speaker, every step we take, they obstruct. They get in the way of the very things that not only experts are calling for, but their very own constituents. When will they get in line?
It's kind of a biting attack, isn't it, from Patty Haidu, that if you don't support, say, something like the National Food Program, the school, feeding children at school, you want to see kids go hungry. That's a bit of a biting attack. But that's the back and forth in Ottawa. Food prices are far outpacing the ability of Canadians to pay, and it's because of industrial carbon taxes over regulation. The country needs more competition in the food space. That's the Conservative line. And you hear from the government, well, we're giving people aid by way of the GST rebate, which is going up 25% this year. And as I mentioned, special payment this June. And you dastardly Conservatives, you don't support our national school food program. The government will feed the children at school, and you don't support that. You big meanies. 1-833-668-2577. Food prices. Topic of the day here on Talkback. Back to your calls in just a moment. This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Food prices. Why are food prices so high? Back to our discussion with Sean in Calgary. Thanks for calling. Sean, you're on the air.
Hi, Rob. Thanks for having me on.
My pleasure.
So there's been a lot of talk back and forth about like one side or the other, right? Both sides of the aisle have kind of like their talking points related to what's happening.
Sure.
Well, why can't it be both? Why can't climate change be causing some of this issue, but also all the additional taxes that are on everything that we have at the grocery store? I just, why don't we try and control what we can control, right? Like, you can't control the weather, but you can control the taxes that you pay or the legislation that brings it forward, right? So that's just my thought. Like, why can't we just, accept the fact that, yes, climate change is a thing, it's happening, but the extra taxes that we're paying on it, what's it actually doing for us? Is it actually improving our life? Is it actually improving the weather? Where are the metrics and where are the results?
Yeah, very good. Very good. What I have been wondering as we made our way through the discussion today is, would my actual grocery bill be lower if there wasn't, for example, an industrial carbon tax? The Liberals seem to maintain it has no impact on the price of food whatsoever. But what about that clean fuel standard? I had a farmer call me and said, absolutely, that's impacting my ability to produce food. That's going to feed its way, you would think, through the whole supply chain, the food supply chain in the country. Would I save money on groceries without those taxes? That's what I want to know. What do you think?
I would think very much so, right?
Think very much.
So, yeah, like the cost of fuel going up impacts everything. There was a caller on earlier that kind of went over, I think it was before the call-in. She started talking about like all the impacts of the fuel tax on like price price of fertilizer, or maybe that was in the House Commons today. She's talking about potatoes. So I agree with her 100%.
That's right. Yes.
I work in the ag business and the rail business, and the cost of fuel is very much something that impacts our bottom line. So 100%, I think that if there's additional cost added on, taxes added on to the cost of an input, it does rise up the chain. It just makes sense. It's basic economics.
Okay. Yeah, that was a Conservative MP from British Columbia, Cloverdale, British Columbia, Tamara Jansen, who kind of walked us through, well, this is what it takes to, grow a bag of potatoes. Can you play that Politics 3 for me, Curtis? Play that clip again, okay?
Let's take the example of something as ordinary as a single pound of potatoes from the Heppel family farm. That potato starts in the ground. To plant it, the farmer needs diesel to run his equipment. That diesel now carries a fuel standards tax. Before the potato has even grown, policy has already added cost. Then comes fertilizer. Fertilizer production is energy intensive, which means it carries the industrial carbon tax. That cost doesn't stay at the factory. It's built into the price that farmers pay. Again, no choice. You can't grow potatoes without fertilizer. Harvest time comes, the equipment runs again. More fuel, more tax. The potatoes dug up, washed, sorted, and stored. Storage requires electricity. Processing facilities face higher energy costs, compliance costs, and reporting requirements, all of which are government imposed and all of which are passed along.
Yeah, and she would go on for another minute and talk about it, and then we have to put the potatoes in the bag. Wait till you hear what they're doing with the bags. I thought she outlined it pretty well, Sean. Thanks for your call. Let's move along. Jason up next. Jason in Calgary. Hi, Jason.
Hey, Rob. How's it going?
Yeah, very good, Jason. Thank you. What do you think is going on here?
No, I think it's great. I think everything you said, everything that Sean was saying was fantastic regarding the industrial carbon tax and also the packaging tax at the grocery store too. Every little costs a little, right? And I think there's a chain reaction as well, because when the gas prices goes up, and it has an impact on everything, right? Including, say, if you got to pay a trucker, right? Like if the truckers, got to go out and have dinner and lunch and everything's expensive and they're expecting a higher salary pay. So the trucker is going to cost more and everything else, right? So I think in all fairness, after listening to that recording, I think a good way to put it into perspective for everyone would be, imagine if someone could put this together saying like, hey, this is the scenario where there are the industrial carbon tax in place with all these packaging tax in place versus we don't have any of these industrial carbon tax in place. And what's that going to look like at a glance, right? Then everyone will have a pretty clear image on, holy smokes, this could be the scenario, right? We're not just taking it on the chin because, anyone that goes to the grocery store on a weekly basis, realize that things just keeps getting more expensive. Like a lot of families, they buy the same thing over and over again. They just buy eggs and milk and bread over and over again. And most of the friends I talk to, they're like, wow, things are going up by like 10, 20% like per month, right? It's like crazy.
Crazy. Well, yeah, I mean, we took a call from someone in Halifax, who was at Joanne in Halifax. It gets like 9 little pieces of stewing beef. I mean, this is not filet mignon. This is not sirloin. It's like 9 little pieces of stewing beef, and it's more than $9. It's like $1 for a cube of stewing beef. It's crazy. Insanity. 1-833-668-2577. Talkback on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
We've been talking about food prices today, high food prices. StatsCan has a food price data hub if you ever want to check that out. It's interesting to play with. I was browsing through it today. Here's what it says we're paying these days for some basic staples at the grocery store. 2 liters of milk, $5.38. 2 liters of milk, $5.38. Sound right to you? A loaf of bread, $3.55. That sounds about right. White rice, 2 kilograms, $9.35. Butter, 454 grams. Pound of butter, $5.65. It says according to StatsCan. I think that's way too low. And I never see butter for $5.65. Oh well, sometimes when it's on sale, but like almost never. Ground beef per kilo, 9. Chicken breasts, $14.57. That's why I buy the thighs these days. 1 dozen eggs, $4.70. Kilogram of apples, $5.34. Bananas, $1.66 per kilo. I heard bananas $1.66, but apples are $5.34. We bring bananas in from halfway across the world for $1.66 a kilo, but apples are $5.34. I don't know. 900 grams of infant formula, $51. My gosh, $51. Linda in southern Alberta. Hello, Linda.
Hello.
Hi, Linda. Good to hear from you. What is going on with food prices?
Well, I don't know. I know I just bought some steelhead fillets, and I know, and they're farm. They're not fresh, like ocean fresh, whatever you want to call it. And I know it's out of season, but they're almost $42 a kilogram.
$42 a kilogram.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and so what I bought for $18 before, now I have to pay like $31 for, if I want the same amount. And the patties and stuff, the beef and stuff is pretty similar. I know I bought some barbecue wings the other day, and they're up $1 compared to what it was the last time I bought. And I know, like, my hamburger and stuff, it's $28 or something kilogram. That's for stir fry. So even though we have the cows here and we're producing it, our prices are still high. But I was going to ask to, seeing how they were all about this carbon renewal, and we should have like renewable energy type, as in solar farms and wind farms.
Solar farms, wind farms, yeah.
We have mega farms out here. We have like 44, and we've got like 4 in the top 10 for Canada. But what I'm getting at is when I asked about the charges on my power bill and my gas bill, and I'm getting the distribution costs and the fixed delivery cost of them putting in those solar farms. And it's being on my bill. I don't see the benefit of it because they haven't been able to make a loop so the power comes back to us. So the power goes out of the province and out of the country. But an example is I used $23 power. I paid $66 for usage fees.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
that's a conversation for another day. That's power bills. That's a conversation for another day. Linda, I thank you so much for your call, though. Gosh, that's expensive fish you're buying. That's it. Thank you for all your calls today. Really good to hear from you and get all of your opinions on a wide divergence of opinions today on the situation with food in this country. Brand new topic tomorrow. Focus Nova Scotia's tomorrow. Looking forward to that as well. Until then, the latest breaking news. I'm Rob Snow. This is News Radio.